so many miles away.
Yo, 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 it's your boy Casual Rail with the Silent A podcast. And man, we back with another one. And a quick one at that. Yo, hit that like button, comment below. And if you got a little time, subscribe. You're helping us grow quick. We're going fast. We appreciate all that love. And for this one, we getting straight into it. We talk about the likes of Keith one-time Thurman, getting back into it, getting that groove back, getting that old thing back, coming back strong from a 3-year layoff with a knockout of Brock Jarvis down in Australia, March 12th, 2025. Shout out to that man. Salute to that man. Salute to Keith one-time Thurman for actually getting back in the ring when many of us feared he would retire after so many injuries and so many delays and so many layoffs to his careers. Salute to that man. Salute to that warrior. Salute to that fighter. And also salute to Brock Jarvis actually getting in there and scrapping himself. He showed, resistance early. He put on a good performance in that first round against Keith one-time Thurman. He landed some good body shots, put in some work, pressing him towards the end of the first round. But the likes of the veteran fighter, overtook him as we predicted. We actually thought it was going to go a little bit longer, actually go to a decision route, as we thought Keith was going to get some filling in there and try to get some rounds underneath his belt. But he found an opening. He was changing his levels. He really confused Brock Jarvis in round number 3. And brought the pain with a badass uppercut. I mean, that left uppercut was something vicious. He already hit him with the overhand right, kind of already dazed and confused, but kept working him. Brock, give him credit. He got back up from that, but he then got put right back down shortly right after. Like 5 seconds after. Keith just had him. He had his number. He already had him hurt, and he was looking strong, looking healthy at the 154-pound division. But again, salute to Brock for giving up that effort. Salute to him, and salute to Australia for hosting Keith one-time Thurman down there and let him display his talent. Now, the likes of Keith one-time Thurman. How did he look in this fight, right? We already said he got the knockout. And to us, the first round looked like a 3-year layoff first round would look for any type of fighter. But in this case, for Keith one-time Thurman, he really showed how great he is, because you could see the ring rust. You could see him trying to get adjusted to himself. He was fighting a little bit different, pressuring a little bit more than what he normally do. And I think he was trying to force a couple of things in there. And then, that's how he got caught a little bit with those body shots and pressed back. It didn't hurt him, but, threw off his rhythm. And then round 2 to 3, you saw the lateral movement come back from Keith one-time Thurman. He moves a lot, from his left to his right, confusing a fighter and then punching as he's moving and kind of keeping them honest, right? They never know what he's going to do. So he kind of gets off on his offense. That's what made him great in the past. And you can kind of see him getting used to that. And once he got that rhythm, he started letting the shots go. Round number 3, we got what we got. But with that said, I give it definitely a good A minus performance from the likes of Keith one-time Thurman on March 12, 2025 against Brock Jarvis down in Australia. It looked good. He looked solid. Now, with that said, it's just Brock Jarvis, right? No disrespect to him, but is Keith one-time ready for his next step? Let's get into that, right? What is Keith Thurman's next step after this kind of performance? This is a good entry, a good warm-up, a good, keep busy fight, getting him back into the groove. We can't take too much off it because, again, like we said previously before in our 3-minute fight drill, Brock Jarvis is not a world beater, but he was a decent talent, a good young fighter and good strong fighter at that. So what it did show us was Keith one-time Thurman still has some good punch resistance. He still has his veteran tactics. He still has his boxing IQ, which never goes away for a fighter like him who will be in the Hall of Fame. But is the talent still there? Is it good enough? Is his speed still there? Speed's usually the first thing to go away. I think he's obviously slowed down a bit, age 36, been off, 3 years or so. He wasn't slow by any means. He's still faster than probably 80% of the 154-pound division. But for the likes of him, yeah, he slowed down a little bit, but he still looked good, looked strong. What's his next steps? Who can he get with? Who can he bang with, right? It's obviously, after the fight, he calls out the likes of Tszyu, who was sitting in the audience, watching this fight, watching this scrap, who Tszyu, by the way, he's got to get him some business handled on April 6, 2025 against the likes of Errol Spence from the USA. And shout out to the promotional companies for building that, right? Having Keith fight an Australian fighter and then, having Tim fight a USA fighter. Assuming Tszyu is successful against his fight against Joey Spencer, and we got another video actually out about that already, is this too soon for Tszyu? assuming he does get past him and looks good, looks great, obviously that's where everybody's trying to build this fight. You know, when we say everybody, we're talking about the PBC and Main Event Sports, trying to get that collab together and make this fight finally happen after it fell out last year, you know, after the injury for Keith One Time Thurman, had his surgery, now he's back. That's the primary goal. I think that's where everybody's going to line to get that scrap going. Both men coming off of, Keith One Time Thurman coming off a layoff, Tszyu coming off of a back-to-back losses. So they're both kind of in a rebuilding of their career, trying to reestablish themselves in 154-pound division and try to make some real things happen. That's option number one, right? They're also close in weight for that 154 pound. What I mean by that, they're very close in stature and size. Although, you know, Keith One Time Thurman moved up from 147 pounds to 154 pounds. Him and Tszyu are very comparable in size, weight, length, range, you name it. It'll actually be a good scrap, a good, decent scrap to see who still has it here in the 154-pound division. But then there's rumors of a second option, right? And this is one I'm kind of in favor for. I still want to see the Tszyu and Keith One Time Thurman fight. Don't get me wrong, but there is rumors of Errol the Truth Spence and Keith One Time Thurman finally getting that scrap going. If something does happen to the likes of Tszyu not beating Joy Spence, or just something happens in general with the contract negotiations. Now, all in all, don't get us wrong. Obviously, the priority fight is Keith One Time Thurman, Tszyu. That's obviously where the business wants to go, but Errol Spence still needs a scrap. Errol Spence needs a fight. You know, he got removed from the Fedora fight, obviously. That fell through for years, for damn near 2 years, trying to make that fight happen. Fell through. WBA won't let it happen. Errol still says he wants to fight. Errol says he still wants to scrap, and he's even called out the likes of Keith One Time Thurman slightly in a couple of past interviews he's had, moving up to where he's at now. And then the rumors start even before this fight, and now shortly after this fight has just happened and pulled off, with the likes of Keith One Time Thurman looking as good as he did. Errol and Keith finally getting that scrap, finally getting that duck season handle, right? Who ducked who? How would this fight have really looked back, you know, a few years ago if Keith would have gave Errol Spence that fight? Now a lot of fans are bringing it up. Now it's getting pressure. And you can kind of see the likes of PBC actually positioning that as a good option as well. If that fight does happen, Errol Spence and Keith One Time Thurman, it would be a decent pay-per-view. It won't be as big, obviously, as it would have been back in the past, but it'll probably be their biggest pay-per-view card of this year currently scheduled that we know of. It'll be bigger than any of the Gervonta Tank Davis's cards currently right now. Him and Lamont Roach probably didn't do that well. And then if they do a rematch, that might do a little bit decent because it's a rematch with some controversy. But right now, I could see Errol Spence, Keith One Time Thurman towards the end of this year as a decent pay-per-view for them, about 400,000 buys. That's not bad for a decent pay-per-view of that magnitude, especially with two fighters coming back, depending on how you build the undercard. Again, that's rumors has it that is a play, that is an option for the likes of Keith One Time Thurman to get back in the ring this year. We definitely need to see him again this year. He only did 3 rounds with Brock, looked good, didn't look washed at all. He looks like his faculties are still there. He looks like he's still strong, and more importantly, he looks like he's still smart in that ring. I personally would like to see him with the likes of Errol Spence. Errol Spence says he don't want no tune-ups ever. So go ahead, throw him right back to Keith One Time Thurman. Keith looks like his injuries are good. Get them in that scrap. To me, that's the bigger pay-per-view, but I understand the likes of Tszyu and Keith getting that fight. That's what they've been trying to build, and I see what they're doing, right? Again, that's our opinion here. We talked a little bit too long on it. Wrap this all up. Keith One Time Thurman, you look good. You look great. You look like your old self. Yeah, it's just Brock Jarvis, but coming off of 3 years, layoff, and more importantly, only fighting once in the last 6 years, he looked like he didn't miss too much of many steps. He was getting back in his groove. Salute to that man. Salute to Keith One Time Thurman. We're glad he's back in the sport. And more importantly, his promotional tip. Every fighter needs to take a page out of Keith One Time Thurman's playbook. That's how you promote yourself. The way he talks, the way he moves and takes boxing serious. That is a true fighter and a true warrior. I hope you get the Errol Spence scrap later this year. That's the one we really want to see on the Sunday podcast. But salute to you. And if you get it on with Tszyu, either one is good. And I think you have a good chance of winning both of those fights. Honestly, I think you will beat either man. I say it's 50-50 for the likes of you and Errol Spence, and I give you the favor of 60-40, 70-30 against the likes of Tszyu. Anyways, we talked too long on this, man. Hit that like button, comment below, let us know what you're thinking. As always, you got a little time, please subscribe. We appreciate that love. Man, it's your boy Cash Rep with the Silent A Podcast. Till the next time, peace.